Yellow, loose setup today for a much delayed rewind to take in a selection of my favourite releases, stuff, from the first 6 months of the year. I've never pretended to be the internet's busiest music nerd or anything, making the vibe here one of curation and consideration, not unit shifting and point making. Hence, with very few exceptions, I'm only ever, like today, talking about things that I like. Age-appropriate observations, so you'll never hear me describing something as fire or suggesting that something slaps. That ship has long sailed. So let's begin. No particular order, but first up, the albums I've enjoyed which I haven't got physicals of as yet. Stereolab, instant holograms on metal film. The first all-new music from the group in 15 years, and for a band who are always super focused on their process, that creative hiatus, as Stereolab at least, sounds more like 15 minutes to me. This is Stereolab doing Stereolab. No fuss, no creative detours. They know who they are, and if you do too, you will enjoy this a lot. Lounge, Tropicalia, Malteric, Marxist theory. It's a resumption, pure and simple, but a very welcome one. A radiophonic pop with a bookish inquisitiveness that never gets in the way of a silvery melody. Throwing Muses, Midnight Concessions, a lean 30-minute release from Kristen Hirsch under her full band guise, which shares its primarily acoustic palette with her solo album from 2023. That's Clear Pond Road. Like Stereolab, writing and performing as the Muses brings certain expectations, deconstructed emotions and experiences rendered as a spiraling tumble of imagery, barbed, lopsided folk staking out a highly personal psychogeography. This album is just that, the tension and release of the bruised albatross, the churning oil can delay figures that frame Sally's beauty, the fractured, pounding shanty of South Coast. Yeah, full band, full-blooded. Don't let the acoustic Muses reviews bamboozle you. It's typically savage, hallucinatory stuff and recommended. Richard Dawson, End of the Middle, with the Past, Present, Future trilogy done. That's Peasant, 2020, The Ruby Chord. End of the Middle shows Dawson freed from framing, but still choosing to pick over the passing of time. Here the context is family life, generational scenarios being replayed over and over from grandparent to child. Beautifully observed stuff, rich in the minutiae of everyday experience, daytime TV, holidays abroad, trips to the shops, and balancing the baggage carried with the resolve to make things better this time around. Allotments, headless ghosts, schoolyard bullies, freak lightning strikes, so much detail to bring the core experience of growing up, of growing old, into focus. Yeah, it's a lovely, lovely record. I'm Being Good and Shapeshitter. Big thanks to Andrew of the band for getting an advance copy of this to me. Very much appreciated. For those of you unfamiliar with I'm Being Good, and I can guarantee that some of you will be 100% on board with what they do, this might be the gloriously unpredictable post-everything guitar music you're looking for. Warbling, detuned guitars roil around uncomfortably clattery rhythms. I guess Polvo or Truman's Water would be the default comparators for connoisseurs of this particular type of post-rock, but make no mistake, it's all its own thing. Heavier riffs periodically disrupt the willowy chime and collapsible time signatures. Marsupialized would be a great example of that, but there are also outbreaks of skin-freezing folk horror soundtrack like Red Boy, and clanging Rebo-esque explorations like Have I Got Noose for You? Yeah, it's unnerving stuff full of grisly tritone surprises and bent, sharp prog detours. Great to hear them still ploughing this furrow as effectively as ever. Fans of squirmy, complex instrumental guitar music will approve, so do go check it out. Onto the physicals then, starting with House of All's third full-length release, House of All Souls. I've bought the first two albums up on the channel before, but this one, although springing from the same process, band members bringing all ideas to the studio afresh, no prior sharing, and the songs being worked up quickly during short sessions, this one heralds a bit of a new phase, I think. The first studio recordings after a run of touring of live shows, and with a few new contributors on board: Phil Lewis, Carl Burns. It feels a little looser and at the same time thematically more coherent. Martin Brammer's literary influences coalesce more fully on All Souls, a very English, historical, mythical feel: devils, angels, nameless creatures, knights, pilgrims. No overriding concept, but a lyrical thread, a consistency that ties everything together very, very nicely. Yeah, this is a million miles from the featuring members of Revival circuit. It's genuinely creative collaboration between musicians with a shared heritage, but surprisingly little baggage. Okay, Alan Sparhawk with Trampled by Turtles, the first full band release from Alan post Low, and worlds away from the digital convolution and bit-crushed catharsis of last year's White Roses, My God. Hooking up with longtime friends and fellow Duluthians, Trampled by Turtles, I'm reminded by this of another earlier Low collaboration, namely 2001's In the Fish Tank with the Dirty Three. The spare folk country feel is certainly there, but a warming, consoling lift replaces the more freeform back and forth of that release. The one exception here would be the devastating screaming song, an untethered, hyperventilating fiddle solo playing out the narrator's, Alan's, grieved screaming in his place. If White Roses felt like one man pulling himself to pieces and assembling what was left into the least painful shape he could manage, this record is that same man falling into the arms of his friends and family and being borne aloft by them. The swelling full band vocal accompaniment on Don't Take Your Light, Hollis taking her mother's place in the gorgeous Not Broken, and the delicate push and pull of Closer, Torn and in Ashes. If you're a fan of Low, you'll need this, but don't approach it like a solo album or another chapter in one person's grief. Everyone on this record is grieving, and it's the sharing of that weight that lifts them and it into clearer, calmer air. Next, like Stereolab, a resumption of hostilities after a 20-plus year gap. It's Mclusky, and the world is still there, and so are we. Those hostilities are purely of the musical variety, I should add. Nosebleed, barbarism, and blitzed up observations and contrivances are still the order of the day. Yeah, everyday ugliness, mankind's unthinking advancement of stupidity, played out as surreal, tragicomic skits. So far, future of the left, but the specific three-piece recipe of Mclusky does yield its own indefinable flavour, which remains intact here. As is the current trend, there are videos for a handful of the tracks here. The oleaginous buzz of the glorious People Person might be my pick of them. But dig in and there are audio-only joys aplenty. Cops and Coppers, the rattling sprint of Kafkaesque novelist Franz Kafka, and the shellacky punch of Chekhov's guns. Do Dallas tends to be the critical go-to for Mclusky nowadays, and if you like that, this comeback of sorts will not disappoint. I've saved what's probably my favourite release of 2025 so far till last, and sorry youth seekers, but it's more oldies. This is The X, and If Your Mirror Breaks. The Dutch Master's first studio album in 7 years. They've travelled far and wide from their anarcho-squat punk origins, taking in folk, world music, post-rock, improvisational jazz, collaborations with everyone from Chumbawamba to Tortoise to the Mekons, and many, many more. There's something about the mixture of political observations, literary lifts, surreal juxtapositions that, well, it feels like a very now album, coloured by an understanding born of experience. The forces combining to lead us into the strange times we currently inhabit have been in play for a lot longer than we might like to admit, and the X communicate this struggle, this need for resistance, for constance, with an off-kilter deftness that never feels like messaging or straight-up polemic. The music shorn of external collaborators is distilled X. 3 guitars, one of them a baritone, I think, drums, vocals, a quick And dirty comparison would be the more experimental side of late period Fugazi, on who the band were a big influence, but with danceably lolloping rhythms that take the music somewhere else. Interlocking parts mingling and spiraling, occasionally coalescing into white-hot no-wave discord. Urgent, thoughtful, provocative stuff that knows the value of a good groove to get its message across. The single, Great, is the ideal starting point, but highs would include the hissing, pumping clatter of Spider and Fly, the Joycean babble of In the Rain, the patient build and release of Monday Song. The whole album feels sculpted. Everything removed reveals more and more of the X. There's no flab, not a second wasted. A proper album at 45-ish minutes of pure undimmed expression. It's the only record released so far this year to truly knock me backwards with its focus, vision and intent. And a great late in the day intro to the X for new listeners as well. Do check out If Your Mirror Breaks. Links to it and all the other records I've mentioned are in the description down below. Use Bandcamp wherever possible from now on, given Spotify owner Daniel Ek's recent decision to invest huge amounts of his ill-gotten artist thieving money in military technology. Balls to this guy and his platform. Just no. So, any other business? Well, some stuff I'm living with, but I haven't spent enough time to get to grips with yet. There's Lifeguard, Ripped and Torn, the latest young it band garnering all the press inches. I kind of like what I'm hearing so far. Facts, Wish, Defense, a change in lineup with the OG guitarist back in the band on bass means this has a bit of a different sound and feel to the stuff that introduced me to the band. It sounds like a grower. We shall see. These New Puritans and Crooked Wing are persevering with this, but I've not been in quite the right place for it, I think. I'm working on it because I think that click moment is imminent. And Cate, her new single, Heaven Is No Feeling, came out a little earlier this month. It's a very interesting taster for the upcoming album. I'm all ears. One final thing before I go. Not exactly new in itself, but a recent development which needs sharing, I think. Traces of Glory, the 2022 documentary film about Jeff Martin and Ido, is currently streaming free for Amazon Prime subscribers. Worth a watch for fans of the band. Pretty low-key stuff all told. Certainly not Metallica, that's for sure. But a reminder of quite how much great music they were responsible for. And that's my first 6 months of 2025, musically speaking. I've had a lot on my plate, so please excuse the rather infrequent video schedule this year. Let me know what your favourite records of the first half of 2025 might be down below, and we can discuss it. If you like this video, thanks. Please think about giving it a like and a subscribe. And I hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Please take care, and bye for now.